Hey, this is the Big Hardcore Gamer. Now, I've been playing a lot of Sifu this week, and I've been having a great time. I originally wanted to get a review up by the end of the week, and when playing the prologue, I'm not gonna lie, it had me feeling like I was Bruce Lee, and I thought maybe I could actually beat the game in the week, and that maybe reviewers had been over exaggerating with saying how hard this game was. Then I got to the first level. I died so many times in the first level that I was looking like this old Sifu from Kill Bill before I could even reach the first boss fight. And that's when I knew that beating this game to make a review by the end of the week really wasn't going to happen. So instead, this is more like a first impressions of the game from what I've played so far, and I'll still be giving you my recommendation of whether you should check it out or not. Now, I'm currently still trying to beat the boss on the second level, the nightclub, but I've played at least 10 to 15 hours. Just from the first two levels alone. So I've played it long enough to be able to talk about the game. So, yes, the game is hard, but it's extremely addictive. For the old school gamers out there who remember playing games where you have a limited number of lives and it being game over when you run out, this is basically a modern day version of that. The game's story is basically that your father has been murdered by five assassins. At the end of the prologue, you choose whether you'll play as a male or female character, and this is a simple choice. It doesn't involve any in depth character creation. And after a very cool game intro, where you can actually practice some of the moves that you're going to be using, the game jumps forward 8 years, where your character is now 20 years old. You have your detective board with the details of the five assassins that you'll be hunting and their locations, and space for every clue or special item that you find throughout the levels, which is great because it also means you can use keys to access shortcuts and skip portions of the level. When I realized that the keys I found to progress through the squats could also be used to open a door earlier on in the level for shortcuts, it cut out like 10 to 15 minutes of the level. And I ended up in an area just before the boss fight. When I did the same for the club, I didn't get as close to the boss, but it still let me skip some challenging enemies and probably avoid a few deaths. Now, let's talk about the combat. It's really, really good. To start off with, if you're one of those players that finds it hard to memorize all these different combos like I do, you'll still have fun with the game. You get your basic combos and the rest are unlocked with XP. If you're smart with it, you can just experiment with the light and heavy attack buttons and will end up producing some pretty decent combos. Even the moves that you do unlock aren't that difficult to remember, but it's a case of practicing them and knowing how to use them in a combat situation when you're surrounded by like 5 to 10 enemies. You've got focus attacks, which will slow down time and then allow you to use an unblockable attack. However, before you can select your attack that you want to use, you're still vulnerable and can take damage. Plus, you also need to be close enough to your target to activate it. What you're really going to want to practice more than any of the attacks is the blocking, dodging, and parrying. I still haven't mastered the parrying in this game because you've got a very small parry window. I've also found that if you stand still and hold the L1 to block, you can actually use the left analog stick to move in different directions when your enemies are attacking and then counter after a dodge. Things get tricky when you're surrounded, but blocking and dodging attacks is the most important part of the combat that needs practicing. The game has a training mode, and you can set the AI to passive or aggressive mode. Also, when in combat, it's a good idea to divide and conquer. You will get surrounded very quickly, and they're not going to wait for you to finish beating up their friends before attacking you. So, you need to try and move into a position where you're able to take out one at a time. Also, when you fill up your opponent's structure bar, you'll either finish them off with the next hit, or you'll be prompted to use a special finishing move. This will hit them with a usually unblockable attack, and you'll also start filling up your own health bar with each finisher. Now, I say usually unblockable because there are some enemies that can block these attacks the first time you try it on them, because there are some tougher enemies which, when defeated, will reduce your death counter. Now, some of these are always in the same location, but others don't reveal themselves until you try to finish them off with a special. They're the ones that have a yellow glow around them. They're tougher to take down, but they're definitely worth it to reduce your death counter. Now, reducing the death counter is basically how you increase the numbers of retries you get. Each pendant on the medallion will break when you age 10 years, and it increases by the number of deaths in your death counter. So if you can reduce the death counter to say 0 or 1, for example, you'll only age by 1 or 2 years when you die, which basically give you more and more tries. Just like the standard moves, different attacks can be unlocked with XP from the skill tree, and you'll need to unlock a skill 6 times before it's permanently unlocked, not 5 like we previously thought, because you need to first unlock it into the game and then unlock it a further 5 times to make it permanent. You can access the skill tree on in 3 locations by walking up to the tree in the starting area before you start a level, when you die, and when you find a shrine. Now, shrines will also give you a reward, and I haven't figured out if it's possible to permanently unlock them, but I don't think you can. The first set of awards needs to be selected when you're under a certain age. You can increase your maximum structure when under the age of 60, the amount of health you gain from takedowns under the age of 40, and your weapon durability below the age of 26. The second set is based on the level score that you've achieved so far, the speed that your structure meter clears after taking damage, the speed that you build focus for those special attacks, and the impact on the opponent's structure after you manage to land a successful parry. The last section is XP based. So this will go into your XP reserve, just like unlocking moves will. For 250 XP, you can add half an additional focus reserve bar. This is because some focus attacks need 2 or 3 focus bars to be activated. So you'll actually need to claim 2 rewards from shrines just to build the focus reserve enough to activate the attack. But you'll also need to spend XP on the skill tree to unlock the attacks. So for 500 XP, you can improve your weapon damage, and for 1000 XP, you can clear your death counter. Especially useful when facing a tough boss. I use this at age 51 before going into the club boss fight, meaning he got to kick my ass even more times. And believe me when I say the boss fights are tough. I'm only up to the second one right now, and this dude's savage. I've got 3 more to beat after this. Now, there are also a lot of weapons to be found in the game. You can use anything from bottles, baseball bats, metal pipes, brooms, bamboo sticks. I haven't managed to find any blades yet though. In some of the areas you can actually walk into stands made of bamboo to break them and then pick up the sticks to use in battle. You can use them until they break, and their appearance will actually change to show how close they are to breaking. You can also throw them, but some opponents will dodge or catch them when you try. You can kick them from the ground when you unlock this ability as well. Now, graphically, it's nothing super impressive, but it's good enough. I like the art style, but if you're looking for some insane current gen graphics, this ain't it. But like I said, it's as good as it needs to be. What I am impressed with though is the fight animations, especially the animations for the takedowns, which I would say are probably the best I've seen in the fighting game. This is due to the motion capture of a real life Sifu who teaches the Pac Mei style of Kung Fu. And I'm loving the soundtrack. The music does a great job of making you feel like a badass while you're beating your way through all these thugs, especially when you get to the club. And one thing I wasn't expecting was good use of haptics in the DualSense controller for this game. The first time I noticed it was during the prologue when you're walking through the rain and you can feel the raindrops. Another area in the club where you're walking by some flashing lights which are matching the beat of the music and you can feel it in the pad. It was unexpected and done so well. Now, let's talk about something that's annoying me. And it's actually not the game, but it's how some people are looking at the game in regards to its completion time. A skilled player has managed to beat this game in 40 minutes. As soon as I saw that on Twitter, I knew exactly what was coming. Some people who, let's just say, they're unable to play the game yet. They've been, trashing the game, saying that it's only a 40-minute game for $40 and ridiculous shit like that. Let me be 100% clear on this. You cannot load up this game for the first time and beat it in 40 minutes. Okay? It can't be done. The game is designed to not even make this possible. To be able to beat it in a time like this, you would need to unlock all the shortcuts, which involves going through the main routes of each level, as well as building up XP to permanently unlock moves. Then you'll also need to learn where your enemies will be so you can take them down quickly. Learn how to block and counter attacks, learn the attacks of each boss fight so you can block, dodge and counter them, and also get through without dying, or at least die very few times. Yeah, it's not happening. The game is designed for replayability, and you'll end up going back to previous levels trying to perfect it and continue on to the next level as young an age as possible to give you a greater chance of beating the next level, and to give yourself a chance to get that platinum trophy if you're playing on PlayStation, because there's a trophy for beating the game age 25 or younger. If you get that platinum, you earned it. I'm trying to get it before they added easy mode, because with how some reviewers have been complaining about the difficulty in this game while being hyped for Elden Ring, which makes no sense to me because that's another difficult game, it wouldn't surprise me if they do add an easy mode later down the line. So like I said at the beginning, this isn't a review of Sifu because I haven't actually completed the game yet, but I am going to answer the question of, is Sifu worth your time? And the answer is absolutely, but only if you like challenging games. If you're the type of player that plays games on easy mode to appreciate the story, you may want to avoid this game. If you like a challenge, and trust me, this game is challenging, you should definitely check this out. Right, so I hope you found the video useful, and will check out Sifu if you own a PlayStation or PC. And please leave the video a like, as it really does help me out. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and check out some of my other content. Right, I'm going to get back on Sifu now. See you in the next video.